Hi everyone, this is Niamh here and welcome to my art journaling channel. Today we're going to be doing a quick art journal page using the Dina Wakley scribble birds, and we're working in the Dina Wakley 6x6 journal. So this is an amazing little journal. I don't usually work this small, but I found I loved working this journal. The paper is really thick and everything just goes together beautifully. It's a really great one for beginners or experienced art journals to work in. And if you've struggled with the cotton rag paper in the larger Dina Wakley journal, I really recommend you have a go with the paper in this journal, because you'll be really surprised. All the things that are, little bugs with the other paper, you'll find work really well with this one. So for this journal page, I'm just starting off, as I do with a lot of my collages, just covering the page in gel medium and then going in with a whole heap of collage papers that I've got. So these are napkins that I had lying around, bits of gel prints, book paper, just anything I had in my stash. I'm not worrying about the size, the colours, I'm just gluing everything down because I'm going to tie it all together afterwards with some acrylic paint. So when you're doing this, particularly this technique, you can leave some sort of gaps and you can leave some white space because you're going to colour it in afterwards. Now the foil that you see me putting down there is just some mink foil. Any foil that you've got, or even foil leaves, you can use to do this. And just while the gel medium is drying, I'm just laying it over the top, letting it adhere to what it would like to, and then pulling it off. And you just get these beautiful little sparkles of gold through your work. It's a technique I've been doing more and more in my piece, and particularly for this piece, it just worked beautifully. So once I'm finished, I'm just drying it off and working out where bits and pieces are going. You see, when I tore off some of the papers, some of the foil, the paper came with me, and I'm not really concerned about it. It is what it is. So now I'm just going in with some Delusions Paint. So this is Cherry Pie, and I think I use Calypso Teal, and this one's Pure Sunshine, and just using my finger to rub it in. Now the Delusions paints are more translucent. They're more of a fluid acrylic than, say, the Dina Wakley paints. So you can sort of spread them out a little bit. But you can do this with any acrylic paint. If it's a thicker paint, just water it down slightly, because you do want it to have some of that translucency so you can see the collage in the background. You put the time in to put it in, so you want to see some of it. You can see I'm sort of going around some of the faces and just adding different spots of colour. Now I'm also layering these colours. Now if I'd usually mixed these, you would end up with a nice shade of brown. But the Delusions paints dry fairly quickly, so you can actually layer them up. And you can see once I'm finished, I'm going back in with that gold foil and adding some more over the top. It will stick to wet paint as well, so you can get that sort of really beautiful shimmer over the top. So once I've finished doing this, I've got a really nice background that I'm happy with. I'm going to do something that will probably annoy everyone. It certainly annoys my mum when I do it, I'm going to actually spend all this time doing this beautiful background and then paint most of it out so you won't see it. But it's a really cool technique to get beautiful framed, interesting images on your page. First of all though, I'm going in with some mark making stamps. These ones are from Archival Studios, and the new Tim Holtz Distress Mini Archival Inks. Now these inks did something really unexpected on this page, and it actually worked beautifully in the end. The Archival Inks, I'm looking at the name and I couldn't get it out. The Archival Inks are an oil-based ink, so it does mean they go over any surface, and they will be permanent once they're dry. However, once I put the white paint over, they actually started to bleed out a little bit, and you could sort of see the oils come up through the white paint, and it just gave this really cool sort of ghost image of what was underneath with a slight hint of colour. But because the white was so opaque over the top, it blanked out most of it, but just gave this really interesting texture in the background. So once it's finished, you'll sort of see that happening, but it wouldn't happen if you didn't use an oil-based ink. So I think the reason that worked really well was because it was using those archival inks. So now I'm just using this beautiful bird set from Dina Wakley, the scribble bird set. It's quite an old set, but it's probably one of her most popular ones, and they just work really well together. And I'm just going to stamp them out again using some of my distress ink where I would like them on the page. Now these aren't brilliant stampings, and that's okay because I'm going to restamp them afterwards, and you'll see that happen. Basically all I want is the images on the page so I know where to paint around, because the birds are going to be my focus on the page and I'm going to paint out the back. If I had left it like that, you could see that there is so much happening on the page that there's nowhere for the eye to rest. So I need to put in some white space, which is what I'm about to do. And for a lot of people, it's a really scary process. For me, I've done this lots of times and it's still a scary process because I sit there convincing myself, oh, but it's a really nice background and you don't want to ruin it. And what happens if? But when I'm finished, I'm always glad I've done it. So be really brave. You can do this with black or white. I chose to do it with white in this page because I wanted it to be quite a light page, but it looks beautiful if you do it with black or with any colour. You're just blocking out the background. So you can see already by doing that, those birds are just suddenly popping off the page. Now, in the past when I've done this technique, I would have painted out the entire page and just left the birds as is, but I really liked that background. So I actually, as I was painting along the bottom, I wasn't painting to the edge, and I really liked that. So I decided I'd do the same up the top and sort of frame my page somewhat with this white stripe down the middle of the page. You'll also notice when I'm doing this, I'm actually painting over the bird's legs. And the reason for that is, one, they're a little bit fiddly to paint around, and two, I thought if I did that, I could stamp over the top again and have my legs re-stamped where they need to be. So I don't need to worry about drawing them in, it's already done for me. If you look particularly on the right-hand side of the page, you can see those archival inks coming up through the white, and again, that just ties in the background so you know what's happened on the page, but it looks like it's supposed to be there. So I'm using the Amsterdam titanium white acrylic to do this. It's a really thick acrylic paint. It's very opaque. You can see with all that colour and texture on that page, apart from that archival ink coming through, it has blocked out everything else in the background. So you get this really beautiful crisp image. So now all I'm doing is going back in with my stamp and stamping it over. Now, I've been stamping for a while, and I've got a pretty good idea about how to line up stamps as I do this. If you're really unsure about this step, you could certainly line this up using a stamp press. It would be a little bit difficult because you are working in a book, but certainly if you're working on a sheet of paper, using a stamp press would work really well. You could have all your stamps in there and just stamp it over the same time and have it in the same place. I really should have used a block to stamp out my words because it's quite a fine text, but I'm just going in with a permanent ink. This is a carbon ink pen, and just writing over the bits that didn't quite stamp along. And that's one thing about art journals is, you know, they don't need to be perfect. They can be a bit, you know, higgledy-piggledy or a little bit's missing. It's for you. Other people may see it, but this is for you in the end. So this is one of my favourite pages in this new little journal that I did, and it's certainly a technique that I will be transferring into my larger journal. I hope you enjoyed watching this, and I hope you have a go at doing this technique too. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.